What are we going to look at today?
We're going to take a look around and see crop progress. Just pop around quickly and some of the fields we've looked at earlier so we can watch crop growth and see how we're getting some good development.
Things going well?
Overall, things are going well. Yep.
Cool.
Yep.
Cool. Okay, well let's go check it out.
Let's go. It's all dry again. As you can see, it's just non-stop irrigation now. It's June 9. We haven't really had any significant rainfall for quite some time. We have lots of irrigation, drip irrigation running right now in fields. We're irrigating the blueberries as well. But as soon as you're done, it's like painting the Golden Gate Bridge. As soon as I'm done irrigating one field and coming all the way around doing each of my fields, the next one's dry, the last one is dry. So we're just working our way around, but as you can see, we're getting enough water on that we're getting some crop growth, good crop growth. And you can see how the dirt's a little dark there. So we can know there's still some water in the bed. But the top of it now is that light brown, so now we know we need to water again. But they're not under water stress. We can see some of that dark color. And the plants have responded. This is the lettuce bed. We're gonna be harvesting this week. We're gonna start harvesting off of this bed. And what we do is cut and come again. We'll come through, we'll be thinning these plants out instead of taking whole plants. And that way they'll grow back and they'll make even more leaves for us. So we're gonna make a mix out of all this. Probably there's a couple that are still small we might not harvest, but at least that, 1, 2, maybe 3 different ones. It'll be a big bag. And then this is the first bed, because there's multiple plantings of certain crops that come fast, like radishes. So this is the first bed of radishes. And it's only, what did they say, Monday? It's Monday, and it looks like the radishes are sizing up pretty good too. So if I throw some water on this field, which I'm gonna do today, they'll finish up sizing, so we'll be able to have the radishes to go with your salad. So that'll work. Here we're working on a carrot bed, which is always a challenge, because the weeds, they're so slow to germinate. The carrot plants, this is the first carrot bed, and so you're constantly just going in there and trying to pick out the weeds. It's rough, and we mark the rows with these sticks so we can try to get an idea of which ones are the carrots and which ones are the weeds, and we'll just keep picking on that. This bed's a little easier because the babies that come up are a little more vigorous on a beet bed. So we got a nice double row of beets here, and it's been easier to get in here and get out the weeds. These beds, of course, get choked no matter how good you are with the weeds. So you got to get in there. You got to just there's no substitute for just getting in there and doing the hand picking and cleaning. My workers are very good at that. This bed is now sizing up nicely too, and this is our beans. So we got a nice rows. We got the green bean, and then we've got the yellow bean at the other end. That looks good. The red Russian kale is sizing up. We got to see the newer leaves now. There's no chew on it. The old leaves have chew, but we were able to get rid of that beetle. We stopped the beetles, so now the new leaves are nice and clean. So plants will get bigger and bigger. Hopefully that insect's gone for now. And at the end of this row, we've got some Swiss chard, which is sizing up nicely. This is celery here, and I haven't always had great success with celery, but so what I'm doing this year is I'm giving them a little special bed here, and I've got the straw on it because I know they like to maintain very even moisture, but they don't want to be too wet, but they don't want to be too dry. Straw oftentimes helps with that, and they seem to be nice and dark green, so they seem to be liking this. They're on 1 foot spacing. Celery, and there's another bed of celery back there, which we just planted today. So that when we plant sequentially, so we'll have more after this one is harvested. And behind right here, this is the beginning of the mint. That's spearmint bed, and that's delicious in tea. So we'll be harvesting some of that for you. It's best this time. At this time, these fresh leaves are full of the oils Makes a great tea. This is Swiss chard. This is Swiss chard. This is bright light Swiss chard. And the leaf petioles are pretty. They're all different colors. It's actually a relative of the beet plant. It's just the tops that we're after here, and they're delicious. And we'll be harvesting off this bed for several weeks. They grow, you can take leaves off, and the plants will come back and get even bigger when you water them and fertilize them, and you keep coming back and getting leaves off of them for several weeks. We'll be doing those soon. We're gonna give them time to get sized up first.
And this is your small, brand new baby
Yeah,
celery.
here's some little celery, just to give you the idea how often we try to sequential plant if you can.
And there's the celery bed down there we were looking at before.
Yep, that one will be ready
Right.
several weeks before this one.
Somebody's got to keep us company.
Okay, these are chives here, and you've heard of edible flowers, and these are very, very edible flowers. At this stage, we had them earlier in the season with just the stem before they flowered. Remember, they were delicious. They use the stems. The stem is still delicious and tasty, but it's a little more woody, I think. I think the best part of it now is the flower. The flower is delicious.
And what do you do with the flower?
You just it separates into the little pieces here. You can take these and separate them out and put them in your salad, or put them in your rice, or put them in your saute, and it's oniony flavored. It's an onion. It becomes like a spice or a seasoning for your salad or in your saute. So we'll chop these off. We don't want to waste these, so we'll chop these off too. We can let you try these. Give them a try. Oh, by the way, this down here, we have a lot of this on the farm too. We'll harvest this when we have an opportunity, but this is oregano. And that's about in this herb garden area back here. Thanks.
What a beautiful day. I was here exactly a week ago, and this was just white with flowers.
Yeah.
And now there's no flowers, but what I see looks very nice. Very, very nice.
What do you see where the flowers were?
I see berries.
Right.
Oh, of course, there's one that looks almost ripe. I can't wait.
Well, over here, take a peek on this side. Oftentimes on the edge, you'll see the first ripening, edge effect. See, there it is.
Oh,
See it?
yeah,
You want this?
I do.
Now, let me tell you this, though. See how you know this is ready to pick, though, while we look at that? See how the tip is, the color goes all the way to the tip? It might be a little bit lighter, but that's still done. Like, as opposed to, here's one that'd be close.
I can see one on the top there that's green on the top.
Yeah, well, right, that one's not even close. But sometimes you'll see them, they're just red like that, but they're still white at the tip. We have one, we'd show you. And you don't pick that one, but that's ready. And I say this one's ready too. So here, you can have this one. I might have to eat this one.
You might have to.
Yeah. Quality control, we call this.
I see. Okay, yeah. Well. Oh my gosh. That's phenomenally delicious. What kind is this?
I think that's a sparkle. Wow, that is amazing, huh? That's amazing, the amount of flavor. So we've got this bed. That's looking really good. And that's the smaller one. We've got this one over here. This is the first year for these beds too, Wes. So they're really healthy, and there's no disease because it's brand new. No disease had a chance to build up. And whatever insects are in there, they're in there. And I'm not going to do anything about it. The sprays, you could spray them. There's things you could try now that the flowers are gone. You can never spray because of the flowers, because you can't spray on bees. But afterwards, there's things you could do to go after the plant bug. There's the guy in there called a plant bug. But I think that he won't do enough damage that it's worth even spraying. That way we can always say there's no spraying on these strawberries. Because remember, the strawberries you get in the store are the dirtiest of the dirty dozen of all the most sprayed fruit in the store. The most sprayed product, I don't know if you knew that, is the strawberries, the ones you get in the store, the ones that don't taste any good anyway.
Oh, these.
And they have
I was still
But these
tasting
will
that.
have no spray.
I'm still tasting that strawberry. It is so delicious.
On a never-ending quest to use every last spot of tillable land on the farm, we were able to fit this bed in right here. This is, I think it was ended up being right on 50 feet. So 50 feet of a Roma type sauce tomato. It's called it's an Amish, called the Amish paste tomato. So we got those in. They're in great condition. They're trellised. And we got an irrigation tube. We're watering them right now. And this is an area at the back of this field, behind our strawberries and behind the corn, that we hadn't been using. I'd just been mowing, but now we're able to squeeze these guys in too. And this soil is just as good as what's on the hill. The pH is balanced and all too, so we should get good results here. But these tomatoes are gonna not have it as easy as the tomatoes that'll grow up in the tunnel. It's much harsher climate out here. They get under attack by all kinds of funguses, and things will attack them out here. That doesn't happen inside the tunnel. This is a place where your tomatoes like to live. This building here.
Oh yeah, we've seen quite a change from
when you walk in here, all of a sudden it's midsummer, right? It's 90 degrees. The sides are up. I'm keeping them a little pushed down more as I want to build up some heat in here. The vents are completely open. I leave the vents open to keep the air motion at the top. But these plants, we just got these in maybe 4 days ago, but they've all established. They look good. We're irrigating them. We're keeping it moist. You can see the water in the hole. So we're keeping them wet. It's hot in here. They grow fast, so they want a lot of water at this part of their life cycle, and well, actually the whole time, because they don't want the water when they're fruiting up too. So we just keep an eye on them to keep them watered too, especially this time of year. But they always get watered, regardless. They don't get the rain, the benefit of the rain. We've had problems in the past in here with cutworms coming in and cutting and killing tomato plants and pepper plants, and we've had issues with. Let's see what else we have. Colorado potato beetle on the eggplant. A lot of them. And we've also had aphis, the aphids on the eggplant. So you have to deal with them. On the tomatoes, sometimes you might get tomato hornworm. But all of those can be controlled using pretty minor pesticide controls. Yeah, all of them. So, like, well, as a matter of fact, some of it is preventive. That's what this little thing, this doohickey is right here. It's a dust miser, Wes. And you put in here, what I have in here is chemical, or actually more of a mineral called diatomaceous earth. Diatomaceous earth is a ground up sea organism called diatoms. They have a body made of silica or glass. And there are millions of years of them deposited on the ocean floor. So we harvest them, you grind them up. Diatomaceous earth, it's used for lots of things. It's in toothpastes. Some of these natural, I think probably the Tom's toothpaste, I think might have that in there. But, so it's relatively non-toxic. It is non-toxic. But it's very small, and fine powder is very hazardous to insects crawling through it. And ingesting it, and also like any rodent that's in here that wants to mess with your plants, getting it on his little face, it's very uncomfortable for them. So it's a great deterrent to keep insects, like the ones I mentioned, the aphid with a soft body. This dries them up and kills them. So what you do with this is you take it, get a little tap, and you can see your powders in here. Right? So you just take it like this. And that's it. Now that plant is covered because you want a very fine film over it anyway. It should be a thin film that when the animal walks over it, the insect, it's going to wreak havoc. And the animal's going to leave it alone. Cutworms, that's it right there, what the plant needs. Get back on that.
Will that work for the tomatoes outside?
Yeah, but it washes off.
Oh.
So that's another beauty pot in here. You put it on and it stays on.
So I noticed that these rows are very far apart. Is that by design or?
Oh yeah, because these plants are going to get big. That's interesting. That's one of the first things people say when they first look at this building. They're like, well, why so few plants? Looks like we could get a lot more plants in here, right? But when these are all full size, this whole building is just going to be green, filled with green to this pole almost. I'll be trimming. We'll be cutting the tops of these tomato plants off when they get about this tall, just to grow all the fruit down below. And the eggplant are the most surprising because they get enormous in here. As small as they start, and they sit for a long time and are very small, but eventually they're going to get really big. And that's why they have this wide spacing. Actually, they're 2 feet apart. You notice they're farther apart than the tomato plants are, the eggplants, because they actually get bigger. These will be trellised also in the basket weave with the posts and the string, like I did outside. I'll show you later on how that works. Yeah, so everything's looking good in here. This is where all the tomatoes, happy tomatoes, are going to come out of here. This is great.
Excellent.
Yeah. All right. Well, this is the Field 2 update. We've been here a few times already. Let's see what kind of progress we've made. We've managed to keep some of these onions alive. Most of them looks pretty good. Maybe 85% or so look like they're still alive. So what we do now to fill in those planting holes with little plantlets that didn't make it, we will add an onion set. Put a set into that hole because we want to make sure every one of these holes has the opportunity to produce an onion. So we pop these back in, problem solved. You know, that hole will be filling, produce an onion also. And we have enough here that we can fill that last bed as well with these onions. And this is a good one. This is a big white type, a white onion, white Ebenezer. White Ebenezer. It's a sweet onion. The white onions aren't as sulfury, so you can taste the sugar more. It's a sweeter onion. So that'll be that last row, and they'll be substituting in here. So that's all good. And then the rest of our plants are sizing up. The rest of our brassicas in here are sizing up. Even during a drought, we're getting good growth. We got the hose, so we're irrigating here. Hose comes into this line, to the header line, and then each line has its own subline off of it. And using this device right here, this suction device, we can put some fertilizer in here as well, and we will now be fertigating because we can send fertilizers through during stressful times like this for the plants during the heat and the dryness mainly. We can give them some extra nutrients and get some quicker growth on them. So we get that going on, and so they get irrigated all the time, at least every 3 days. At this point, this thing is running for many hours. You got to have it run for 5-6 hours in order to get a good soaking. Did I show you this? And we were talking about using every last square inch that we have available on the farm, and we're doing that here with this intercropping. Onions are a nice crop. They stay in their bed. They stay in their lane. They grow straight up. So the distance between the rows is available to us. So instead of just weeding it, we've seeded it. And this is arugula growing up here in this bed, and we added an irrigation line for them as well. So there's one inside the bed for the onions, and there's one outside for the arugula. And over here we did the same thing with the mustard greens. They've been slower to germinate, but I see them. And radishes also. We want the things that are quick to germinate to try to outcompete the weeds that are bound to show up. So we'll have to weed it again. You can see the weeds keep coming in. We're gonna win. We'll come in, we'll just keep weeding, and then even as the other radishes bed is completed, we go to this radishes, and then another one will have been planted. So that's the sequential, and this is also trying to take advantage of every last inch that we have to grow on.
Well, you're right. Things are looking great. I can't believe how much some of those crops have grown just since the last time I was here.
Yeah, put some sunlight on them; they'll grow.
The biggest change to me was the strawberries, which, as I said earlier, were just covered with blooms, and now, boy, that berry was good.
Yeah,
I can't wait. Are you going to have them this week for us?
I think so. Yeah, I'm surprised. I thought no, but it's Monday, and pickups isn't until Friday. We can harvest as late as Thursday. So I think it's possible we can start with a small number, but then it should be an avalanche after that. Yeah.
Great. I can't wait.
Yeah.
As long as the odd numbers don't get cheated out of them.
And it ends up almost the same. It's amazing how it works out with most of the crops at the end. I do all the analysis in the end. Odds and evens, the value, you get the same amount of product at the end.
Great, great.
The strawberries are so much fun, Wes, because they're the first thing. They come right early.
And they're
such
so
a nice
delicious.
prize.
They're so delicious.
It's such a
oh
great
my
prize.
gosh!
Yeah.
And that's the strain that I believe that I ordered.
That was the early glow.
Yeah. So I have a question for you this week. And you were talking about it being drought conditions, but we just had a torrential rain the other night. What's up with that?
It was nice, and the plants liked it when it happened at that moment. And all the plants got a good drink, but that was such a small amount if you measured how much that was. That couldn't have been half an inch of rain.
Really?
If you measure it, sure. And that's, I mean, it didn't continue that long. So it did nothing to dent. It's not like having it rain over the course of a day. And a lot of that water runs off when it comes down that quickly over very dry soil. Doesn't penetrate as well. That water's already gone. That came down that night, so it didn't put a dent in the drought at all. We need a good long soaking. So it really has been dry, and we are now irrigating 3 fields at a time, like nonstop. Like I was saying, it's painting the Golden Gate Bridge we're just going from field to field. As soon as one field is irrigated, pretty soon we're back to that one. It needs it again. So fortunately, we're keeping up. We had to put it on the blueberries too now because they're trying to make fruit. And they need to have water to size up. Logical, those fruits, so that we have irrigation on them now too.
So I'm struck by something when you say that, when you talk about the torrential rain and it all running off. That is one of the things that's predicted by the climate models that we are going to get, particularly in New England, fewer rainstorms with more rain in them, hence what you just said. What have you noticed? You've been here 27 years. Have you noticed a change in the climate as you've been doing this?
The biggest change is the rainfall. The biggest change would be the rainfall. And it's been like the last 10 years, and I looked this up because I thought so, and I looked it up, and sure enough, the numbers do bear this out, that we've been in droughts pretty much almost every year. I mean, we've had some significant droughts. A couple of years we haven't, but almost, maybe out of the 9 years, maybe it was 7. But there's been multiple droughts. But if you look at the 9 years prior to that, I mean, it's not a big period of time. I mean, droughts were very rare. We hardly had any at all. So, because I remember that when I first started farming, I barely had any irrigation at all. I remember actually I was doing the farmer's market and I had just a hose and it was like enough. I didn't have as much property, but still. But yeah, definitely a bigger demand on the water. It's a good thing we have a good well.
How about the time of, you said, for example, you didn't think strawberries would come up, would be ready this early, but they're ready early. How about that? Have you noticed anything in terms of, when first crops come in or anything like that?
It's hard. That's so variable. That has been so variable year to year that it's hard to say one way or the other. It's so easy to say because it's like, which week in June do we start? And sometimes it's been as early as the first week in June, as late as the 3rd week in June, and more often the 2nd week, which is where we are now. So we've been bouncing back within that area each season.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Great.
Yeah, it's rolling now. We're rolling.
Well, I'm looking forward to my veggies on Friday.
You're going to like what we have for you.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll see you then.
Thanks, Wes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
See you, Nick.